So, Professor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, we would like to find out what necessitated the introduction of the MA in tourism.
Okay, the introduction of the MA in Tourism and Heritage Studies was based on our observation that Ghana is attempting to groom a viable tourism industry. We've been focusing on ecotourism and promoting it over the years, but we still realize that there are challenges facing the industry, mainly because we don't have professionals, enough professionals to take up the challenges of the industry.
Can you please outline some of these challenges that you identified?
First of all, we don't have enough people to manage the sites that attract tourists. That is one. And also, we don't have enough professionals in the hospitality industry, which goes hand in hand with the tourism industry. And so we have some challenges that may appear to be subtle, but they affect the tourism industry negatively. For example, service at some of our hospitality facilities. You may go to a restaurant and ask for a Coca-Cola. The waiter may agree and then bring you a Pepsi Cola and open it. And when you ask why, they'll say, "We are sorry, that's what we have," and so on, petty things like that. And you may go to a hotel that looks very clean on the outside, but you find cockroaches, you find mice and other things running around. We understand the environmental issues affecting us, but it also comes from management, and not management at the top level per se, but supervisory roles and people who really understand what it takes to promote tourism. Another interesting thing is we are promoting tourism, but it appears we do not understand who tourists are, what tourist expectations are, vis-a-vis the needs of the host communities. So we are promoting an industry that appears to be hanging on faith and hope, but not to the nitty-gritties of what it takes to develop and form a tourist attraction and what it takes to manage it.
Okay, so now there's a new government and they are saying that they will work more with the private sector. I'd like you to tell us, give us your take on it, and then you merge it with the UNESCO heritage monuments we have in the country.
The talk about working with the private sector, it's becoming a cliche in the sense that necessarily we must work with the private sector, but the private sector must be prepared to take up the responsibilities that are being thrown to them. That is why we say we need professionals in the sector. Otherwise, we'll become vulnerable. We'll open the tourism industry, not to Ghanaians per se, but to the highest bidder who could come from elsewhere. It is good to have international investors investing in the tourism industry, but not until we ourselves understand what this industry comprises and entails. We may be taken for granted, and the negative aspects of tourism may befall us. So it is good to work with the private sector, but necessarily the state or the public, and for that matter, government, must be seen to be monitoring and supervising what there is to that industry, because it is a relatively young industry which we are yet to nurture and put at the level where it can grow on its own.
Okay, so please, can you tell us when this whole MA in tourism will begin?
We are expecting that it would begin in the next academic year, not we don't see it happening in the 2017-2018 academic year. So we are hopeful that to begin in the 2018-2019 academic year. The reason being that we have to go through the processes of approval to mount a program, especially a graduate program at the university level. You have to develop the course and then let it go through quality assurance. You need a stakeholders conference, and we had that with key players in the tourism industry. We invited the media, including the Financial Times representative. And thereafter, you move it on to quality assurance of the university, unit of the university. After the quality assurance unit of the university, it goes to the college review committee and so on and so forth until it gets to the academic board, which will approve it, and the council of the university would approve it before you advertise. Even that is not enough. It has to go to accreditation board for the course to be accredited. And we are in the process of doing so. It's now with the quality assurance unit of the College of Humanities. And we are hopeful that things would work fast so that we would prepare ourselves for the takeoff of the course. We have identified all the key players in terms of faculty that will teach the course, and also people that we invite from industry to facilitate the program. We are designing the course in such a way that we will have a practical component, and then people from the industry would share their experiences with students. We are also expecting that our students would engage in experiential learning within the country and outside the country. For that matter, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with the University of Rome, Tor Vergata, to help us with this tourism program. So we'll be having faculty from the University of Rome, Tor Vergata, joining us in the delivery of the course. We also expect some of our students who can afford it to go to Rome, which is a major tourist destination in the world, to have some experiential learning experience before coming back home. So factoring in all this, we expect that in the next academic year, we'll start and sustain it.
Okay, so until that is done, until acquiring education, book knowledge in tourism, what other things do you think can be done to advance the tourism sector?
What can be done to advance the tourism sector? First of all, is to organize short courses. Okay, short courses. It could be 2-week courses, month-long courses for those who are already in the industry. Seminars, workshops to reposition them with regard to what is happening in the tourism industry. What kinds of attractions do we want? What do we mean by ecotourism? Is that our strength? Where do we have a comparative advantage in terms of tourism? To us, we feel that our comparative advantage lies in our culture and our heritage assets. For example, if we want to embark on ecotourism, wildlife tourism, for example, we cannot at this stage compete with East Africa. Okay. We have Kakum National Park there, we have Kalapa Game Reserve, but we are yet to fully develop those compared to what pertains in Eastern Africa. If you want to promote tourism based on our ecological features, the beaches, for example, we cannot compete with other destinations like Hawaii, Acapulco, Spain, and so on. But when it comes to aspects of our cultural heritage, we have historic monuments, many of which have been recognized by UNESCO as World Heritage Sites. We have those. We have other national heritage sites, including uh, places and sites that we ourselves may not yet know, like the Krobo Mountain at the Akuse Junction. It's a major historic site, a monument that marks Africa's resilience to global intervention. And that, for example, is a major tourist destination. And we have been promoting that piecemeal. We have tested, we've had situations where we have foreign dignitaries visiting that site. We have the BBC visiting the site. And we also have colleagues coming in with students visiting that place. We have other places across the country in northern Ghana where many archaeological sites have been formed and have been founded and have been developed as part of the tourism promotion industry. We also have several archaeological sites across the nation. Then, even our foods, our indigenous foods, are attractive to many tourists, which we don't understand. Okay, these are some of the things that we need to sensitize and conscientize those who are already in the industry to understand and promote. Let me give you one example. Should you go to many of our major restaurants in the country today and you ask for the menu card, the first thing you will see, continental dishes. Then they list all kinds of dishes, some of which we cannot even read and understand here. Then towards the back, in a corner, an obscure corner, then you have what is known as local dishes. Meanwhile, we are Ghanaians, and what should come first should be our local dishes, because that is what a tourist will be interested in. Okay, those are the kinds of subtle things that we need to educate those who are already in the hospitality and tourism industry to understand. There are alternative ways of promoting tours across the country. Now we have our smartphones, we have the digital media which can be used to promote tourism. We are yet to develop that in our country. Another thing for us to understand in the industry, why we need some of these programs, it's the fact that many a time we stage our culture in order to promote tourism. If we are organizing Emancipation Day or the Pan-African Historical Festival, PANAFEST for example, we have to contract some chiefs to organize Deba of Chiefs. In that regard, we stage our culture. So people don't see what we do in its, to say, natural setting. Okay? And we can't take the tourists for granted. Before they come, they read a lot about us. Many are highly educated, and they listen and observe critically. So when they realize that we are staging and we are not providing them with accurate information, they will not be repeat visitors. The same thing pertains to our World Heritage sites. Okay, we need to assist our tour promoters, and that is the business in which we are. We have gone beyond the need to do this, the need to do that, but engaging them to transform and revise the narratives they provide. We had targeted many of our World Heritage sites at the African American community, because the product which we market therefrom focus on our sordid history pertaining to the enslavement and sale of people and the role of those historic sites in that history. So the narrative of the forts and castles today, it's about the atrocities, the suffering of the African in those facilities. However, those buildings, historic buildings, have a life. Their functions transformed over time. Many of them were trade forts, okay, where goods and services were provided. The sale of goods including gold, spices, ivory, and many more. Before the trade in human beings started, they provided residences for different groups of people. After slavery was abolished, the colonial administrators used some of the facilities as their administrative headquarters. When we even gained our legal independence in 1957, some of those castles remained seat of government for a very long time. Others were used as educational institutions, police or security service training grounds. Okay. Many more things happened in those forts and castles. The edifices as we see today were not constructed en masse as a single block. They expanded over time, reflecting the histories of our interaction with different groups of Europeans. For example, you take the Elmina Castle. Okay, the Portuguese started. They had their parts of the castle. Then the Dutch took over. The Portuguese were there in Elmina for about 150 years. Then they sold off to the Dutch. The Dutch were there, operated the castle, transformed it into a bigger edifice as they operated in the Elmina area for about 260 years. Thereafter, we had the British come in, took over from the Dutch, and also did their thing in the castle for at least 50 years before we gained our legal independence. So all those histories have to be told in one way or the other. And should we do that, we will attract many more visitors to the castles and forts beyond African Americans and beyond Pan-Africanists. I am not saying that we should water down that history, okay? But there's more to be told, which will attract many more people, because promoting tourism is about attracting more visitors so we can generate some income in addition to propagating our history and our cultural heritage. So those are the kinds of things that we believe by sharing with those who are already in the tourism industry, we could enhance this industry beyond where we are. Sometimes we think that by going out and observing what is done elsewhere and coming back to implement those, then we would be growing the tourism industry. But it doesn't necessarily work that way. We can build five-star hotels, create more airports, and so on. But the tourists may not come. Because if it's about five-star hotel, there are better five-star hotels in Dubai than in Accra or in Ghana. Okay? Maybe the tourists coming to Ghana will be much more interested in having a homestay, living with a family, waking up early morning to see family life in the morning, engaging in activities that the local people, the indigenous people engage in. That may be a reason why somebody may pay thousands of dollars to come to Ghana. And it has been tested and tried. We had students, and we continue to have them, teachers, and different categories of tourists come in. They would prefer to live with families. Some would just like to experience palm wine tapping, palm oil making. Some would like to follow farmers to their farms and see how we engage in subsistence peasant farming. Some would like to join Fisherfolk on the Volta, have that experience. Come back, sit with them on the compounds, let them prepare some kokonte or some local dish, and they all share in the same bowl. Many would like to live in the village where the adowa is performed or bobobo is performed and partake in that dance and music form at night with the local people. To many, that is very fulfilling, an experience they will never have if they were not to go there. Okay? And they go back with memories. They establish links and bonds that last. Some of them contribute funds after coming in to support needy but brilliant students. So there are different dimensions of the industry which we are yet to explore and develop fully. Rather than buzzing in people and buzzing them out, what we are used to now, okay, we buzz them, we have an itinerary, buzz them to Cape Coast and Elmina. There, they don't even interact with the local people. Straight from the castle, they are back. Then we organize some performance of the indigenous music and dance. In the evening, they come and perform for them at their hotels or in the comfort of their hotels. The next time we bus them to Kumasi, maybe there's the Akosidai celebration by Otumfuo. They go as spectators. Okay, they don't really have the opportunity to participate in the activities. Then we bus them to Bonyure or Ntonso, okay, and then we bus them out. What do they see? Even if they want to do research, it's research on a fly. They see but don't understand the culture. So they may go back with their stereotypes. What about we, the host community? What is the impact on the host community? Because we don't allow much more interaction between the tourists and members of the host communities, the stereotypes remain. The tourist is somebody whose pockets are full of dollars, money, rich. We don't understand that many have to borrow money to come, and they go back and work to pay. So we presume that the moment we see a tourist, he or she must be rich. So we approach, and then we start harassing them, like it's done at the Elmina and Cape Coast castles. What is your name? And by the time you return to your bus, they write your name on a piece of shell and then force you to buy it. We have a soccer team. We want you to sponsor us. And they force to extract money from you. Okay? Or they quickly go and weave what is your name? You mention your name, they say nothing. They quickly go and weave your name on a bracelet and come and force you to buy it. Okay? Some find it as harassment. Then these days, we don't even take care of the environment where we have the tourist attractions. We feel that there must be synergy between the Ministry of Tourism, Ghana Tourism Authority, Ghana Tour Development Company, and other stakeholders such as the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Roads, okay, and then the various communities. The roads to many of our tourist attractions, our major tourist attractions, are appalling. Until recently, should you travel from Cape Coast to Kakum, if you are not strong, you regret going. The bumps and shakes on the road. The same way to our major waterfall, Vli Falls, you may regret going because you spend a number of hours traveling through dirt and potholes. You get shaken before reaching Vli. Then you have to walk about 45 minutes to the top. And you get there, we don't even have decent toilet facilities. So if you are in need of freeing yourself, you have to get back. So those are some of the nuances affecting our tourism industry that we have to address. And again, some of the reasons why we feel that having a course for potential managers and operators in the tourism industry will be beneficial to the nation.